Hey, we've got a problem here.
So, what's the plan?
What's your plan?
What are your plans?
What's the plan?
What's the plan?
What's your plan?
What's your plan of action?
Plan.
What's the plan?
So, what is the plan?
Wait, I have a plan.
I have a plan.
I have a plan.
That's the plan.
I have a plan here.
This plan's gonna work. Master Plan, Phase 1, Side A.
I love everything about your plan.
भाई इससे कहते हैं planning.
What's it say?
Well, it says, I love it when a plan comes together.
Welcome everyone to Young Australians Plan for the Planet. Ian and Jessie here with you for one final time for our live broadcast. Now, I know that a lot of you are enjoying your holidays at the moment, so it may not be live for everyone, but we look forward to running our excellent final session with you today. We're a little bit sad about it, actually. Before we get into it, I would like to firstly acknowledge the traditional owners and custodians of Australia, the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, and the first innovators of this land. Today, we especially recognise the elders of tomorrow. They are the future of this earth. Let us join together to respect and acknowledge all First Nations so that we may walk forward together. And that's an especially important message this week, which of course is NAIDOC Week. So a really important one that we acknowledge our traditional owners and custodians. Now, what are we getting into today, Ian? What is our last session going to hold for us?
Well, the first thing I was going to mention, Jess, is that there's a great quote by a guy called Winston Churchill. You heard of Winston Churchill?
I have heard of Winston Churchill.
I thought you might have, yeah. Well, all of our history students out in the schools will have heard of Winston, and he said a great thing. He said, it's not the end, it's not even the beginning of the end, but it's the end of the beginning. And that's where we're up to with the program today. What we're going to be talking about is exactly that quote from actually our introductory video as well. I love it when a plan comes together.
Oh, so this session's all about bringing the plan together.
It sure is. And we've had the most fantastic response from all of our schools. They're now starting to send in all of the work they've been doing over the last, I think it's about 7 or 8 months now.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, but fantastic work. Just fantastic work. And what we're going to be doing over the next couple of weeks is, well, actually about the next 10 days. So we've got a tight time frame because we've got the Canberra Presentation event coming up. So we're now synthesising all of that material, pulling it all together into a single plan. And that's going to be the plan that we will be presenting as part of the presentation event. Now, we've sent an invitation to the Prime Minister. He's just checking his diary at the moment.
Excellent. Hopefully that we get him there.
Hopefully he'll be there, that's right. But he's certainly got the invitation. It's a great opportunity for him because this is a plan developed by Australians' young people for the future of Australia. So we're the first country in the world to do it. But, as I said, this is maybe the end of the beginning because we've already got at least 5 or 6 other countries who'd like to roll out something similar. And what they'd like is all the students and teachers in Australia to help them do that. So it is the beginning of the end, but we're looking for a very exciting future, and that's going to be the Young Person's Plan for the Planet. But we shouldn't get ahead of ourselves. We need to talk about what we've got to do to pull this plan together, and there's some important things. So we're going to be synthesising all of those plans. We'll pull those together over the next probably be 10 days, and then we'll push them out. So all of the schools have heard the discussion about the work I used to do, where we go out and we get everybody's ideas. They'd be everybody's ideas, and then we just pull that together into a plan, synthesise it, and because we've all used the same structure here, this isn't very complicated. But then what we'll be doing is sending that plan out to all of the students and the schools, because we need everybody's approval.
So everyone will get a chance to see what the final plan looks like before it
Exactly.
goes out? Oh, that's
well,
excellent.
not just see it, they'll actually have to approve it.
Oh,
So we know who's the boss here. It's all of the students who've put together the plan. So our job's just make this a little bit easier, pull that together into a form that pulls all of the best ideas from all of the schools, puts it in the Sustainable Development Goals structure, and then we'll send that out for all of the schools and students' approval. Once everybody's happy with that, then we'll pull that together into a glossy plan so that it looks terrific, and that's what we'll be handing across at the presentation event in Canberra. So it's a pretty exciting time. So the first part is the synthesis part. The second part will be pulling that together. So all of the schools have been working on a sustainable vision for their EcoZone. So what we'll be doing is taking all of the best ideas for that and pulling that into a sustainable vision for the country. The third thing we'll be doing is looking at all of the inputs from the schools, because each school has been asked to pick the top 3 areas from their 12 student focus areas to prioritise. Jesse, I asked you this last time. Do you remember what rule that...
I remember. It's
yeah,
the 80-20 rule.
Well done. So we're going to use the 80-20 rule again. So of the 12, we're going to pick the top 3, and that's going to be the priorities. So we'll have an integrated, synthesised plan with a common vision for the country, and the top 10 priorities from all of the top 3 that all of the schools have been sending in. So that's what we've got to do over the next month throughout July. So that's going to be some work for us here, but it's also going to be some work for the schools. So that we need everybody to make sure they've got their plans through, so your inputs can be captured, that you've prioritised the 3 key areas, and that you have your vision in there, and that all goes into the front cover sheet. So it's going to be a busy period over the next couple of weeks, but an exciting time.
Hopefully not too busy for the schools back in their areas though, because they've done a lot of the work up until now, haven't they?
Well, 95% of the work's done.
Just
so
that
it's
last
just
5%.
it's just simply making sure. Well, actually, we talked about this last time, so I think most schools have actually done it. It's just a matter of loading it up and putting the bricks together to actually build our sustainable Australia. So it's a pretty exciting time, and if we pop onto the next slide, you can see that how it comes up graphically. So this is what we do. Everybody's bringing their solutions together to actually form a sustainable world. And I've got an example here of one of the reports that's come through. If we just jump onto the next slide, this has come through from Ryan, and this is the work that he's done on establishing his objectives, his work on climate change. And it's like that slide before. We're just taking each of these and we're going to synthesise that into the overall plan. But what I thought was, you know, I can talk about this, but it's much better to hear from the students, because we've got fantastic teams, as I said, right around Australia. So I've got a picture of one of the teams. This is the team from Ulladulla. We're going to put that up on the screen now. But we've actually got a video as well from the Essington team in Darwin, and they're going to tell us a little bit about what they've been doing in each of their areas, so that we can not only see the paperwork, but we can see this in reality. So let's have a look at the Essington team.
Excellent.
Hi, Hi, I'm Tendai and a member of the Darwin Plan for the Planet team. My focus area for the Darwin EcoZone is poverty. 25,397 Territorians live below the poverty line. 50% of children live in poverty. 1 in 4 pensioners live in or close to poverty. 25% of households located in disadvantaged areas of Darwin are food insecure. Charities which only exist to meet a need are experiencing an alarming increase in demand. Charities are having to turn away 134 people a month on average, 72 whom are children. The government needs to support charities and the people of Darwin to eradicate poverty by 2030.
Hi, my name is Sarav Sebastian, living in Darwin, and my focus for the Darwin EcoZone is hunger and water security. In Darwin, there are 42,132 people who experience hunger and food insecurity annually, and half of this are children. That makes 1 in 10 who are hungry. There are a few charities that provide food assistance in Darwin, such as Foodbank NT and Vinnie's Darwin. However, they are unable to cope with the large amount of requests. There has been an 11% increase in requests for assistance. It is estimated that 30% of all food products are thrown away because they are unsaleable, and 25% of those living in disadvantaged areas of Darwin are food insecure. Foodbank also provides 60 million meals to 2,400 charities and 100 schools per year. In a survey conducted by Foodbank in 2014, it was discovered that 77% of the public is unaware of the hunger problem in Darwin. The protection of potable water is the sole responsibility of Power and Water, and as a result, no development or uncontrolled public access is permitted within the catchment. To combat this, more charities could be created to combat hunger in Darwin, and more facilities could be made to maintain the cleanliness of water in Darwin. As well as that, education is a must, so that more awareness can be raised about this huge concern in Darwin.
Hi, my name is Luca and I'm researching how Darwin could be a more sustainable city. I'm looking into improvements that could be made and what is already being done to aim for a more sustainable city in the Darwin area. Public transport is widely used in Darwin, especially by students. More buses could be employed and the standard of the buses should be raised. The more buses Darwin have, the more efficient it could be, which will encourage more people to use them. There's a high level of crime in Darwin, and in my opinion, more streetlights should be installed in streets and police services should patrol more often at night. There needs to be more government housing due to a large amount of people living on the streets. Lastly, improvements in waste disposal is an important area where Darwin needs to look into for a more cleaner and sustainable city.
Hi, my name is Danica and I'm doing research on biodiversity in the Darwin region. So far, one of the biggest impacts on Darwin's biodiversity is the spawning of the cane toad. They pose a threat to our biodiversity as most wildlife that comes in contact with them suffers immensely, causing a loss in abundance. The biodiversity living in Darwin Harbour is also in danger, with around 11 billion litres of part-treated sewage dumped into it annually. Human and animal waste, litter and fertiliser from lawns are also finding its way into the Darwin Harbour through dozens of stormwater drains. The Environment Centre NT have been trying to find out ways to restore the Darwin Harbour back to its original clean state, and Frogwatch organisation is also trying to address the cane toad issue in the most humane way possible.
Hi, I'm Gemma and I'm doing my research on gender equality and inequalities for the Darwin region. Currently, Darwin is getting involved in gender equality by holding the Women's March. However, we need to create stronger guidelines to ensure that women aren't at a disadvantaged position in the workplace through pay gap, promotions, sporting, discriminations, or even assault. In 2016, there were 3,858 reports of domestic violence and 277 of sexual assault in the NT. These figures are very large and are hopefully able to be reduced by strengthening the networks of domestic violence and sexual assault around Darwin in order to raise this awareness. There are 200 refugees that come to live in Darwin per year. In the future, they should receive more government support for employment and living so that they are able to live happily in a welcoming environment. They also require greater assistance in attaining employment in the Darwin region.
Hi, I'm Mark. I'm doing my research on sustainable energy in Darwin. Sustainable energy is needed for a clean and sustainable future. During my research, I've come across two main sustainable energy movements. Darwin's privately owned airport has recently built a $13 million solar plant and is estimated to reduce the airport's energy costs by $1.5 million a year. It provides enough energy to power around 1,000 homes. The Darwin government has built a renewable energy facility in Shaw Bay, and it cleverly utilises the methane created from landfills as its fuel, removing the methane from the atmosphere and burning it for energy. It provides enough electricity to power 1,200 homes.
Hi, my name is Marcia and I'm researching quality education in the Darwin area. In Darwin, there are a high number of students enrolled across all schools. I have found that the number of Indigenous students enrolled in Darwin schools is significantly different to Indigenous students enrolled around Australia. Depending on the type of school, for example, Catholic, government and private schools, change the percentage of Indigenous students enrolled. Catholic and private schools have a very low percentage of enrolled Indigenous students, being from 2 to 5%, whereas government schools have around 30 to 50% Indigenous students enrolled. There are 25 projects happening around the Northern Territory at the moment, most in the Darwin and Palmerston region, to improve student engagement and attendance.
Hi, my name is Eva and I'm researching peace, justice and strong institutions. I'm looking into the justice system within Darwin and what improvements can be made in Darwin to reduce crime, promote peaceful and inclusive societies for sustainable development and provide justice to all. Darwin has many legal aid organisations such as NAJA, Top End Women Clinic and the NT Legal Aid Commission. These provide free and confidential legal services to Darwin citizens. Darwin has recently introduced a new task force to combat crime. This task force is targeted at youth crime and crime prevention. I'm also looking into how Darwin is an inclusive society.
Hello, my name is Christina and I'm researching the economic sustainability in Darwin. We've got a young and dynamic population made up of people from all over Australia and the world, attracted by the peaceful summer lifestyle and the booming economy. Low commodity prices have taken their toll on companies operating in the top end, with 6 mines and an aluminium refinery closing in the past 3 years. Those digging up iron ore and manganese have been the hardest hit, while zinc, lead and bauxite miners are among the ones struggling on. Sustainable development is not about giving priority to environmental concerns. It is about incorporating environmental assets in the economic system to ensure the sustainability of the economic system.
I really loved that video. There's so much passion from each of the students and they've done such thorough research of all of those different areas. It's such a great video.
Look, it is, but what's exciting, Jess, is that's what's happening all around Australia. So that there's two things that I love about that presentation by the Essington team. The first one is, as you said, is the amount of work they've done, the research, and the fact that they've pulled it all together and they're presenting solutions. This isn't just talking about problems. This is actually talking about solutions. And that's all been captured in the EcoZone Plan, and that's what we're looking at. But for that plan, we've got a number of other plans from all over the country. So all the other schools are sending in the same stuff. Now, the interesting thing about that is as you watch that and you see the sort of issues and the sort of solutions, what you see is there's a lot of common factors. So a lot of those issues and solutions apply right across Australia. So what we've pulled together with all of the schools is this fantastic team of over 240 students across the country, picking the brains out of the best ideas, identifying the challenges, but coming up with great solutions. And that, if we look at our next slide, what we can see is that's how we build the plan. So we take all of those ideas in each of those areas, focusing on the Sustainable Development Goals, and they all input into finalising the plan. So it's a pretty exciting phase we're into now. But it all looks great on paper, but it's not until you actually hear from the teams as to what's happening on the ground with their research. And I've had the privilege of going and visiting every team in the country, and I know everybody's just as passionate. And what's interesting is I've just had this literally handed to me. This is about the team. Now you can't read that, but this is about young Australians planning for the planet, and this is our Hobart team.
Ah, is that the Newtown School?
This is the Newtown School. This is published in the the Hobart Mercury.
Ah, excellent.
This week. It's really exciting, and in fact we've got a video from the Hobart team now to tell us a little bit about what they're doing.
Excellent. Let's watch that one then.
Hi, it's Harry here, speaking from Newtown High, reporting on Plan for the Planet. I'm team leader for EcoZone's Antarctica and Hobart. We have assigned our focus areas to 15 students based on their interests and passion. We also spent some time with our UN Youth Ambassadors to gain a deeper understanding of our sustainability goals and how to tackle them. We also invited our Spock to come round to our school to shed some light on climate science and the far-reaching effects that it will have on our local, national and global communities. Most of our time and energy has been spent developing network and sources in local government and academia to make the best plan for the planet we can, for Hobart and Antarctica. We are really excited to be involved in this amazing project and look forward to sharing our ideas with other students around the country.
It's good to hear from the Newtown School as well.
It sure is, and they're getting lots of good press in the papers as well. So it's going to be fun. And I was talking to the team over in Western Australia. They've done a fantastic job. They in fact had a datathon right throughout the state where all of the other schools could ring in with their information about the challenges and the solutions. And they've pulled all of that together, and I've seen their report. It's a pretty comprehensive report. So well done to that team. We saw from the Ulladulla team. We've got literally teams all over the country, and that's the great part about this.
A huge congratulations to all the teams who have got their plans in to you as well, so you can start compiling them. But I believe there's some schools that you might still be waiting on, is that correct?
Well, some schools are on holiday, so we've got to be fair to everybody.
Fair enough.
But we've got a bit of a tight schedule now. So we've now got to pull this together and synthesise it. And what's really important for us is the cover page for each of the EcoZone plans, and that helps us in a couple of ways. One is it has all of the names of the students who've participated. Now that's really important. So everybody who's part of this 240 team, we need to make sure is acknowledged in the report. So make sure you get that cover page with all of the names of the students and teachers who've been involved. The second part it has is your EcoZone vision. And that's really helpful for us because we can synthesize that into the national vision. And then the last part it has is the 3 priorities. Because if we give the, the team in Canberra a list of 500 things to do, everybody's going to say, that's too complicated. But if we can zero it down to the top 10, which we can do if we've got the 3 priorities from each EcoZone, then it's really easy.
Excellent.
What are we using again?
80-20 rule.
The 80-20 rule. And there's another rule that we mentioned last time that I was going to highlight again here. This is a team effort. This is absolute, and we've got a team of 240. And that's pretty interesting because it's a team of 240 students and teachers all working together on the same process, but separated by thousands of miles. So we just heard from the Darwin team. We've just heard from the Tasmanian team. We've just heard what the team in, Western Australia is doing. I was up there recently with the team in Townsville. Then we've got teams in Sydney, in Victoria, in South Australia, and Canberra. Can't forget Canberra.
Can't forget Canberra.
So it really is a team effort, and it's one of the things we've talked about a lot as we've done the work with the schools, that what we're doing is taking the best ideas. So as you're finalising your EcoZone plans, do remember to have a look at what everybody else has put up and feel free to fine-tune yours. So this is about taking the best ideas from around the country, because that's what we'll be doing to actually synthesise the plan. So they're the three things all of the schools can help. Make sure they've got their EcoZone plans in, make sure that they've got the front cover page, all of the names of students and teachers, vision for your EcoZone, and then finally your 3 priority areas. And if everybody could have that through to us, I'd say by the end of next week.
So the 15th of July?
Yeah, 15th of July. That then gives us the time to make sure we've got our report all pulled together, looking fantastic, ready for the presentation in Canberra.
Wonderful. Now, if people need more information about the cover page, that's what we went through a lot in the last session. So the video should still be on YouTube, and you can go on there and have a watch if you want a little bit more detail. Or I'm sure you can email through to Ian or someone in the team who might be able to give you some details if you need something specific.
Yeah, there's the email contact Plan for the Planet. And I think all of the students have that, all of the teachers do, and to be fair, everybody's been using that really well.
Excellent.
So wherever there's been any issues, everybody's contacted us, and we've been able to sort them out really quickly, because at the end of the day, this is the students, the Young Australians Plan for the Planet. We're the support team. We're there to make sure their job is as easy as possible, and I've got to say, they've been doing a great job.
So once they get their plans in and they give them to you to compile, we're going to send them back and they'll get to approve the plans and see
They
what
get to
everyone's been working
approve
on.
the overall plan.
And when do you need that done by?
The approvals, well, if we get the approvals done in the following week after that, everybody runs their eyes over that, then we'll be able to make sure we're ready for the August event.
So everything should be all sorted by the end of July?
End of July is the game plan,
Wow.
because the Canberra event comes up on the 9th, 10th and 11th of August.
Oh, that's not so long away.
Well, that's right. It is the beginning of the end, and it's coming up pretty quickly. But as you said earlier, all the work's been done. So this is just pulling it together, making sure it looks great so that we can present it in Canberra.
Wonderful. Well, should we talk about the event in Canberra up next?
Look, I think we should, because it's the... We better get the dates right first. So it's the 9th, 10th and 11th. And guess what it coincides with?
I believe that's National Science Week.
National Science Week and International Youth Day.
Oh, really?
That's on the 12th. So as part of the event, we're looking at a breakfast where we'll present the report, and also a breakfast where we actually celebrate International Youth Day. So it all comes together very, very nicely on those couple of days. And what we'll be doing, there's 2 students who will be selected from each school to come across to Canberra, plus 1 teacher. And what we'll be doing is a couple of key things. The first one, we'll be looking at the presentation of the report. The second thing is we'll be looking at how each of the, STEM subjects actually support pulling together a sustainable development plan, but also how important they are in moving forwards in students' future careers. So we'll be focusing on that, and then we'll have another session on the morning of the last day where we'll be looking at teaching mentoring and leadership skills. Guess what for, Jess?
I don't know, you're going to have to tell me.
I'm going to have to tell you this one. You've done pretty well on the others. Well, as the program starts to move into the Young Persons Plan for the Planet, the other countries, we're going to need student experts on how to do this.
Really?
We've already had schools coming from overseas and saying, can we have, not me, not you, but the students to come across or come in by Skype, however we do it, and actually take us through how they do this, build the plan. Because once we have an Australian plan, we can then have a young Japanese plan, a young Singaporean plan, a young Chinese plan, a young New Zealand, and we've even had inquiries from Mauritius in Africa.
So definitely the young people's plan for the planet. They're not just Australia.
Exactly. So that's going to be the final part where the students will learn how to mentor and teach this to other schools, but also those students selected from each school will be able to go back to their schools and teach the rest of the team who've been able to build the plan how they can teach it as well. So it's going to be a pretty exciting couple of days in Canberra.
Excellent. So the students who come here on their last day will get a bit of mentoring in how to mentor, and then they'll be able to help out the international people who are coming on board in the future.
You've got it.
That's so incredible. That's amazing.
Well, it is, because when we started out, this was a pilot, a national pilot. And you know what pilots are, we don't quite know where they're going to go at the end. But what's been, and this is a credit to the students and the schools, so that, you know, we had a bit of a question. Is it possible to actually pull together a sustainable development plan with students? And what's happened is, I've got to say, all of the schools and students have exceeded our expectations.
I was going to say, I think I know the answer to that question.
Look,
I think that one's
exactly,
yes.
Exactly. And so much so, as I said, that we're now looking at sort of pulling this together to then expand internationally.
Wonderful.
So, yeah, and that's because all the students have delivered. Yeah. So if that hadn't happened, then we wouldn't have been able to do this. The other countries would have said, nice idea, shame about the result, but now we've got a great result. Everybody's saying, and then the beauty is, once we start to get other countries involved, in the same way that each of the schools have been able to actually pull their ideas together, we'll be able to learn from the experience of the Japanese students, the Singaporean students, the New Zealand students, the Chinese students, and we actually have an international approach to building a sustainable development plan, all built on the most important fundamental, which is the UN Sustainable Development Goals. So I just wanted to say a big thank you at this stage to every school, every student who's taken part so far to help us to get to the end of a very exciting beginning.
Absolutely. What was that quote you said at the start of the session today?
Yeah,
Churchill?
We're not at the end. We're not even at the beginning of the end, but we are at the end of the beginning. What an exciting time.
So a huge thank you from us to all of you students and all of the teachers who have helped the students. It's been an amazing journey for me to come on board as well. I'm really proud of what everyone's achieved, and I'm looking forward to seeing the result in August.
It's going to be great.
Yeah, it is.
Thanks to you, everybody. Great job. And one last sprint for that finish line in August, and then the world.
Wonderful. So everybody, don't forget to get your plans in if you haven't already by the 15th of July. Is there anything else that we need to say before we wrap up today's session?
No, I don't think so. I think that's it. It's just a big thank you, and let's all pull together for that last run towards the finishing line, and we'll look forward to seeing all of the students who come across to Canberra in August.
Wonderful. Well, then, see you everybody, and good luck.